Sarah's Stampin' Retreat. Today we're going to be using one sheet of 6x6 inch paper and we're going to be making a selection of cards and a tag using it. So the products that we're going to use today are from this Wonder of the Season suite. So we're going to use this Tis the Season Designer Series paper, which has 48 sheets, 4 each 12 double-sided designs. But this is the one that we're going to use today, with this design on this side and this design on this side. And then we're going to use this Wishes and Wonder bundle. So I'll show you that up close. It's got these lovely dies that coordinate with this stamp set. So you can see you've got two reindeer here. This one that cuts out the reindeer that's on the stamp set, and this one that cuts out this gorgeous stag. And then you can see that that coordinates with this one. The sleigh coordinates with that. You've got this nice tag, the holes. You could use this as a pattern, or you could use it as confetti or something like that. You've got a couple of sprigs. This that cuts out the North Pole sentiment. You've got a couple of zigzaggy shaped circles as well. So you can layer this inside here and have that as the background. And then you've got some nice sentiments on here, made in the North Pole for reindeer air freight. I really like that, we'll use that today. May the wonder of the season stay with you throughout the coming year. Wishing you the happiest season of all, special delivery. You've got to and from for your tags as well. So then the first thing that I'm going to do is cut down this piece of paper. So firstly, I want to cut it across the 4-inch mark. So I've got these two pieces. Then I'm going to cut this one at 4 inches as well. So this piece then is 4 inches by 2 inches. This piece is 4 inches by 4 inches, and I'm going to cut that across the diagonal. So I'm just going to line up the 2 points across my cutting piece here, and then I can push this down. I can just cut across. And you see I've got a nice point-to-point cut. And then I'm also going to cut this one at 4 inches. So then I've got a piece that measures 4 inches by 2 inches and a 2 inch by 2 inch little piece. So the first one that I'm going to use is this 2 inch by 2 inch piece, and I'm going to use that on the candy cane side. So then I'm going to take the sleigh stamp. I'm just going to pop that on my block. And then I'm just going to take some of my Memento Tuxedo black ink. I'm just going to ink it up. And stamp it on here. You can see you actually got a lovely amount of texture on that stamp as well. So then to coordinate with the papers, I'm going to colour the sleigh in with Cherry Cobbler Stampin' Blends. So I've used light blend for the lighter bits of the image, and then I'm going to use the dark bit for the ones that have got more shading on them. And then I'm going to bring in my dark mango melody. So the other thing that I'm going to do is just run round the image with my light smoky slate marker. You can see I'm using the bullet nib for this. And there are two reasons for that. One is that it helps the image stand off the paper, and two, that this is actually a very fine image to colour with the yellow. So I'm not being patient enough, and I've done it a bit too quickly, and I've gone over the lines in some places. So this helps the image stand off the paper, but it also covers up any of those little kind of mistakes that you've made. So then I'm just going to go and cut that out with a coordinating die. So then I've got some cherry cobbler ink and this wishing you the happiest season of all. And then I've got this piece of cardstock which measures 2 inches by 4 inches. And I'm just going to stamp this sentiment just at the bottom. So then we're ready to glue this first card together. So I'm going to pop this up on Stampin' Dimensionals. And you can see this thick Whisper White cardstock is so thick that I've actually stamped previously on the other side, decided not to use it, but you can't even see that on this side. So if you do make mistakes, don't worry about turning it over and using the other side. So I'm just going to glue this onto here. So this is a 2 by 4 inch piece of cardstock. So the piece of gold foil sheet is 2 1/4 by 4 1/4 inches. Then this is the piece that we cut earlier from our Christmas paper, and this is just a 1/4 inch strip of cardstock that's just a scrap I've got. So I'm going to pop that on there. And then I'm just going to pop my scrap of gold foil sheet across the seam of the paper. So I'm just going to let it hang off the edge a little bit either end. Just didn't glue quite far enough down on that. So then I'm just going to grab my trusty paper snips. I'm going to snip that here. I'm going to snip this at the back here. And then I'm just going to pop some more dimensionals on the back of here. So I don't know if you can see, but I've got a little red smudge there, which I want to get rid of. So I'm just actually going to pop some of these little, they're called metallic pearls, just round the sleigh, just so that I can cover that up. So metallic pearls are really useful. They come in gold and silver in one pack, and they're really nice for little projects like this. So that's our first card done. So then for my second card, I'm going to take a 5-inch square card blank, so that's a 10-inch by 5-inch piece of garden green cardstock, scored and folded in half. So I've got my garden green ink and I've got the Made in the North Pole stamp, and so I'm just going to stamp that there, and then I'm going to cut that out with this coordinating die. So while I was die cutting, and I only cut this out, but I cut this piece out of gold foil cardstock. So I'm just going to glue my Made in the North Pole onto the gold piece. And then I also cut this deer out of gold cardstock. So that's a detailed die that I showed you before. I also cut it out of soft suede because I wasn't sure which one I wanted to go with, but I think I do want to go with the gold. But I thought I'd show you that one so you can see what it looks like against the garden green in case you would have gone with that one. So I'm going to glue all these pieces together. So I'm just going to glue this onto my garden green 5x5 card blank. And then I'm going to glue this across the seam. And I'll just trim it off the back. And then this is a 3x3 inch piece of garden green cardstock that I'm going to glue to a 3¼ inch square piece of gold foil sheet. And then I think I'm going to add my deer with some foam dimensionals. And I'm going to use dimensionals to add this to the card as well. So I'm going to use some of the outside pieces, which is essentially the waste of the dimensionals, but I always use it. I think it's really handy for things like this. Now I'm just going to add some dimensionals to the back of this as well. So I just want them in this corner because I want them to stick onto the centrepiece. So that's our second card completed. So then for the next card that I'm going to create, I'm just going to stamp the reindeer. Onto a scrap of Whisper White cardstock. I'm going to colour him in with the Cinnamon Cider stamping blends. So I'm just going over all this dark shading that's already there for you with the dark one. And then I'm going to use the light one to colour the rest of it. I'm not being too careful because I'm going to go round it again with the smoky slate blend like I did on the sleigh. So then here's my smoky slate. Then I'm going to stamp Special Delivery in the Cherry Cobbler ink. I've over inked my Cherry Cobbler up, so I stamped it once and then I stamped it again, and I'm going to use the second generation stamp. So I'm just going to go and cut those down. So I decided to remain with the gold foil trim theme on this one. So I've got a 4-inch square Cherry Cobbler card blank, so that's 8 inches by 4 inches, and I'm going to glue this 2 by 4 inch piece that we cut earlier onto the bottom of it. Then I'm going to glue this 1/4 inch strip of gold foil sheet across it. Then I've cut our little reindeer down to 2 1/4 inches square. So then I'm gluing that onto a 2 1/2 inch square piece of gold foil cardstock. And then I've cut this special delivery piece down, and I've also added that onto a piece of gold cardstock 1/4 inch bigger as well. Just make it 1/4 inch bigger than the piece that you cut down, because everyone's going to cut this down to a slightly different size. So then I'm going to add some dimensionals onto the back of here. Now I'm going to add a dimensional to this side of the special delivery. Then I'm going to add some glue to here so that it glues on to the deer piece. So I might also just add some of these little gold pearls to this, just to add a little something extra. So for my 4th card, so I've just got a scrap of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to take the May the Wonder of Christmas Stay With You Throughout the Coming Year stamp. I'm just going to ink that up and stamp it on here. And then I'm going to take this stamp here, and I'm just going to ink that up. Just stamp it once at the top. And once at the bottom of my image, and I'm just rotating it. So I'm just going to colour this using my Stampin' Right marker in Garden Green. So if you've never used our Stampin' Right markers before, they've got this lovely brush end on the one end, and then they've got this kind of journaling nib on the other end. And they come in all the colours of our ink pads, so they all coordinate with everything. So I'm just going to bring in my paper trimmer. I'm just going to trim a little bit off this side. I'm going to just trim this down here. So I'm going to trim this at about 2 3/4 inches across. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this across here, but I'm going to stop next to the leaves, and I'm going to line that cut up with the cut line, and I'm just going to do the same the other side. So just keep on checking until I'm just by the leaves. I've not cut right up to the leaves, I've just gone by them. And then I'm going to measure 2 3/4 inches from the cut mark, and I'm going to do the same the other end. And then again I'm just going to line that up again with the cut mark I've made on the other side. I'm going to trim that across again. Then I'm just going to take my paper snips, and I'm just going to cut just with a border around these leaves here. So then, keeping the gold trim as a common theme through the cards, I've got a 4-inch square card blank here made of garden green cardstock. So that's 8 inches by 4 inches scored and folded in half. And then I'm going to use the leafy side this time. So I'm just going to glue that down there. And then I'm just going to put this bit of gold down the middle. I'll just trim that bit off the bottom. Okay. So I'm just going to add some dimensionals to the back of here. So that's our 4th card done. So then I'm just going to use the remaining 2 by 2 inch piece that we've got from the cardstock to make an exceptionally simple little tag. So I've used this tag die, which is from the same set that we've been using for all our cards, and I'm just going to glue this piece across it. If you prefer this side, you could use cherry cobbler or shaded spruce cardstock instead for your tag. So I'm just going to glue that on there. Then, in keeping with the theme of today, I'm just going to add some gold borders. So I'm going to add golden borders to the top and bottom of this piece. And then within this Wonder of the Season suite, there's this ribbon combo pack. So you get this lovely shaded spruce ribbon, and you also get this gold twine. And we're going to use the gold twine for our tag. And then I'm going to tighten a knot at the top. And then I'm just going to poke it through the front of my tag. And then I'm going to pop that through there and pull it like that. So there's our cute little tag. If you wanted to add something else, you could always add like the special delivery or the North Pole Wonder or something like that. But I quite like that as just quite a plain tag. So let's just bring in the other projects we've made today. So we've got a lot out of our 1 6 by 6 inch piece of paper. So I really hope you enjoyed our projects for today. If you did, I'd really appreciate you clicking like below. And you can also subscribe to my channel if you would like to see future projects. If you click the bell button and select all, that will also notify you when I've got new projects available. All the products that we've used today are also linked in the description below, and there's also a host code there. So if you pop the host code into your basket before you check out, then I'll send you a free gift at the end of the month. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.